in working recently with some coaching clients and some pro bono work, individuals who are simultaneously struggling with some health conditions. So this isn't a proper webinar where I invited people or even what I would consider a full PowerPoint. I do have a few pictures, a few images because I always think that that helps us learn. But the first thing I want to say is that good old disclaimer that I am not a medical doctor and I am not giving medical advice. And if you have a medical condition, please seek help from a healthcare practitioner. And I say that with a facetious tone because, in my opinion, I believe that medical doctors should also make a disclaimer. And I believe their disclaimer should be, I am a medical care provider, but I am not educated nor aware, I think is a good word, of energetic practices, of the importance of nutrition, of acupuncture and meridian work. So I think it's sad that we have to say that, but you know what? It's for a good reason. And why is that reason? Because there are people and have been people and probably will always be people who tend to lean on one side more than the other. And in my opinion, and only my opinion, it's been way too far on the side of medical intervention. Now, I'm not saying I don't like doctors. I'm not saying people should not go to doctors. In fact, I have 3 doctors who I work with for patients because they know the physical aspect and I understand the energetic aspect. So the thing is that they go hand in hand together. And, maybe about 15 years ago, in fact, I'll show you on this slide. I even put it up here. About 15 years ago, I wrote a book, maybe 18 years ago, called Get Well Now. And that's the one on the right-hand side. And I wrote that as kind of a testimony to explain to people that holistic medicine is the best. And that doesn't mean eradicate medical doctors. What it does mean is in the average American medical paradigm, it's all about cutting out the bad spots and giving you synthetic poison to kill whatever may be going wrong with you, while at the same time killing the good stuff. So while I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place for that, I am saying that there are alternatives. So I come to you as someone who has suffered with not only one, but 2 debilitating diseases. One, which I wrote after healing. I wrote this book, Get Well Now. And it's outdated. It's out of print now. Has a lot of the stuff that my new one, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there, has in it. And it was almost when I finished this new book, I thought, wow, I should have used Get Well Now as a reference because so many things in energy medicine are the same. I mean, we have new technologies and quantum physics has made many, many new discoveries since I wrote Get Well Now, but some things are the same, flower essence, essential oil, acupuncture. These things do not change. They may improve in some ways and whatnot, but they're still viable, is my point. So when I say I come to you having overcome these illnesses, I will tell you that had I not gotten away from the medical doctors who wanted to cut much of me away, important parts of me, I would have not healed and I would not be here today. As I said, that was 15, 18 years ago. And they did not want me to leave the hospital after a 6-week stay and saying, no, you have to let us operate. And I said, no, I do not. And I did not. So again, this isn't about bashing medicine. This is about helping you understand that there are 2 aspects, which is why I'm calling this anatomy of an illness. So what it means is when the body becomes ill, it's usually that its natural healing mechanisms have become compromised. And I really want to make sure that you understand that before the tumor or the cancer or the chronic condition manifested in your body, it was already a problem in your energy field. Okay, that's really, really important to recognize. And then as I said, we go to a doctor and they want to cut it out or give us pharmaceuticals. That's not always a bad thing, but we need to incorporate nutrients, um, aligning your body physically and energetically, voltage, our body, and I talk about this a lot in the new book on the left, just because you can't see it. Voltage is really where it's at when it comes to health. And I'm not talking energetic health, but I am. In other words, we have both a physical body and an energetic body. And then within our physical body, we have an energy centers, an energy flow or toric field. So it gets, kind of complicated. And I'm going to make this really simple. If you want more science, then you can read this book. Just because you can't see it, it's free on Kindle Unlimited. So, you don't have to buy it. You can just read it for free. But the point is that we have to recognize we get sick and we get scared. And I know I've been there. We get sick and we get scared and we're like, oh my God, we've got to go to a doctor to help us, because it's always been medical doctors who we grew up getting help from. My kids didn't, but I did. And I'm sure most people who are my age grew up going to the doctor. And I'm not saying, every now and then you can get a physical, that's fine. If you have to have some surgery, that's fine. Good Lord, if you have an accident, which I hope nobody does, but it happens, and we want to go right to the emergency room. Modern medicine, allopathic medicine for stitching and antibiotics, and putting body parts back together. I mean, there's no place I'd rather be if I had a catastrophic accident than an emergency room, but it depends on what the situation was for. Okay, less I digress. So the point is, what I like to do is tell people to work hand in hand with a medical practitioner. And it doesn't have to be a regular medical doctor. It can be a functional doctor. It can be a DC, because, most, not all, but a lot of DCs, that's doctor of chiropractor, or whatever the word is, chiropracticy, I don't know. Anyway, most of them are into energy medicine. Not all of them. There are some just back and neck doctors, and that's okay. But I'm talking about the kind of DCs who are very much into, nutrition and supplements and energy healing, because that's basically, if you think about it, and you don't have to think too hard, being a chiropractor or being an acupuncturist, both are working with the energy of the body. Both are working with the energetic system. Okay. So, and we knew for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine that illness showed up in our energy field way before it came into our body, which is what I just said a few minutes ago. So unfortunately, energy medicine is still considered very alternative in modern medicine, and it is essential to the healing of our physical body, right? And here's what I mean. Let's say you have a tumor in your chest or, wherever, and you can go to radiation and chemotherapy, and then you can even have it surgically removed. And then you may say, okay, I've got a clean bill of health. That tumor is gone. But if the energetic cause of it in your energy field has not been healed and repaired, that tumor is going to find another way to manifest in your body. It might be, this is what, when cancer is metastasized, or it might be, might show up as a tumor somewhere else, or a skin cancer, or whatever the case might be. Okay, and I want to really, my goal, and gosh, we've come a long way in the last 20 years. And just using these two books as an example, when I wrote Get Well Now, it was very much considered a woo-woo book, even though I absolutely approach it from a medical perspective, a scientific perspective, still talking about, flower essences and chakras. We're like, people are like, no, but now it's like a known fact that we have energy centers in our bodies that are, referenced as the chakra centers. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to address and heal on both levels. So when I say that, what I'm telling you, and let me go to this other slide here, you've got a physical level and you've got a non-physical. Now, I've already been really clear and maybe unkind to some people who maybe disagree with me, and that's okay. There's plenty of room in the world for all sorts of opinions. There are cases where you might want to have surgery and you might want to have chemotherapy and you might want to, do pharmaceuticals. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying in addition or in lieu of, depending on what your practitioner tells you and what you feel is right in your heart. For physical, functional medicine, going to a chiropractor, nutrition. Oh my gosh, nutrition is such a vital part of healing, and nobody talks about it. It's very, very rare that people in the medical field will talk about your nutrition, but it's super, super important, right? Then also, I'm a big fan, and this is where I have been working with a couple of doctors. I'm a big fan of microcurrent and work using frequency. Microcurrent is a device where you can use um, low electromagnetic frequencies, and you can use it. I cannot tell you how amazing it is, because you can use it from repairing tendons and ligaments, to healing wounds faster. What else? Mending bones. I mean, no joke. This is some really serious stuff, and you can use it for meridian work and chakra work, which is what I'm a big fan of. You can use it for a lot of stuff, but you have to have a skilled practitioner using it. You can't just go buy a microcurrent with TENS pads and say, okay, let me fix myself. I really, really, if you have an illness or a condition, a chronic condition, I absolutely always recommend working with a trusted healthcare practitioner, who I learn from all the time. The ones that I know and work with, I learn from all the time, because I don't know the anatomy. I mean, I can say, okay, this person, suffered a heart attack. What do we need to fix, or what do we need to work on this? But I'm not the doctor that's going to say this was in the, artery here, there, and blah, blah, blah. That's way over my head and not my area of expertise. And so I would never profess that it is. But the physical aspect has to be addressed. Now, here's where I've seen a lot of unfortunate situations. Is I've seen people mostly lean just towards the physical. Let me do everything I can to heal the physical. Well, that's good. You have to, right? You have to heal the physical, because it's already manifested as an illness or a condition or a disease in your body. You have to heal that, because we are physical beings. I always say we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, but we cannot underestimate the importance of the physical aspect. We are physical beings, and we have to have functioning bodies to be physical. So a lot of people will just lean towards the physical, and maybe they juice and they take supplements and they do yoga, and they're like, okay, I'm healed now, it's gone away. But if they haven't addressed where it starts, which is in the wave here in this image, the non-physical, that's when we have issues, right? So some of the things that we can do, and I talk about this in the book just because you can't see it. In fact, I'm probably, as time allows, going to do a series of videos. Maybe I'm not going to read. If I wanted to read, then I would do Audible, and I don't have the bandwidth to sit there and read for an hour at a time. So if I do Audible, it'll be paying someone to read, and I don't know if that's the same thing or not. But anyway, what I'd like to do is do a video per chapter, because it's not all about health. It's about manifesting and intentions and all sorts of good stuff. So I may do that in the future. So right now I am not trying to promote this book. Just understand that I'm trying to help anyone who might be open to this, and who might be willing to receive this information with the absolute pure intention that it's being made with. Okay, I have nothing to gain by this. I'm not trying to sell you anything at all. Okay, so take that into consideration, because the person who's giving you advice or information, sharing with you, you've got to look at what their intention is. Are they trying to sell me a new product? Are they trying to get me to buy this service? Are they trying to get me to buy a new device? So it's always an important thing. And hopefully in the alternative healing arena, most of us have good intentions. Most people are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But some of the things I talk about in the book for non-physical, and you can just jot them down and you can look them up, are things like, I'm a big believer and a big fan of frequency healing. And that goes in a much bigger range than I realized when I wrote the book. I talk, and I'll get to some of the higher level of the electronic frequencies, but what I have written about and what I love are sound frequencies. And you have to keep in mind that with sound frequencies, that doesn't mean that you have to be able to hear them with your ears. In other words, sound frequencies can be outside of our range of hearing. We can only hear a certain range and we can only see a certain range, and it's all vibration. So there are things right now that you cannot see with your eyes because they are outside of your range of vision. And there are things you cannot hear, like how we know dogs used to go to dog whistles or whatever. There are sounds and creatures that hear things that we cannot hear. And that's because, and like cats have night vision. It's just because the range of frequency that humans are equipped with. But just understand frequency, whether you hear it or not, is very, very healing. And depending on how it's used and what it's done with. In the book, I talk a lot. I have a whole chapter on sound healing because I'm a huge fan of sound healing. And that doesn't have to mean that you go to a yoga studio and hear gongs, but it can. And it doesn't have to mean that you listen to frequencies with headphones, but you can. So there's all sorts of different things. I'm a big fan of tuning forks. And yeah, like let me just show you right here, if I can find my thingy. Um, so you can hear that, right? Okay, so sound in that respect is healing, but listen to this. You can't hear that, but I can see it. Oh, it's vibrating. This is a weighted tuning fork. And so there's two aspects of tuning forks. You can use them from the sound aspect, which is also vibrational, or you can just use the weighted ones, which just works on your energy field. But again, it's got that sound that you just can't hear, if that makes sense. So what else can you use? You can go to an energy healer. I'm a big fan of chiropractors. I'm a big fan of acupuncture. In fact, when I healed both of my debilitating illnesses, I went to both my friend who's a chiropractor, way beyond that as well. I mean, he does a lot of other stuff, and my acupuncturist, those have been my two, that's my health team. And at different times in my life, boy, have I needed them. So that's the physical aspect of energy medicine, and perfect adjunct. If you're doing something else, for example, if you have cancer and you made the decision, the informed decision to get chemotherapy, adjunct that with going to an acupuncturist and taking herbs that will get rid of the poisons that are killing things that you don't want killed. So you can combine this, and that's what my whole point is about. So understanding that everything in the universe vibrates is really where we have to start. So in quantum physics, we call this the wave particle duality. And that's exactly what this image is meant to represent. The wave is the wave, and the particle is the sky. Because, I realize that's not a super great image of it, but that's the whole point. It's like the wave is the non-physical. And what we have to understand is the wave is really the whole thing. The physical is an offshoot of it. And if more people, if nothing else, if you turn this off now and you get nothing else from it, I would love for you to take away the fact that anything that goes wrong in our body went wrong in the wave first. And so now it's in the physical, now it's the particle. So our goal, all of us who want, care about health, should to be not only work on the physical, but to be working on the non-physical. Now I want to show you another image here. One of the things that I have been studying for, so many years now is the science of intention. And a lot of people, there's a gal I know, Lynn McTaggart, wrote a book called The Field and the Intention Experiment. But going way back further, Dr. William Tiller, in fact, Lynn talks about him in her books. He is, to me, the godfather, the grandfather of intention work. The experimentation that he did, the lab work he did on intentions is profound. Also, I'm a big fan of Marcel Vogel. Lots of studies, Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, Virginia State, all of these different universities have embarked in intention work. And it's measurable stuff like distant healing, reducing crime, purifying bodies of water like big lakes and ponds. Plants. Clive Baxter did a lot of work with plants, basically proving, which has been kind of hem-hawed by mainstream media, but basically he proved that plants have consciousness. I won't get into all that right now. My point being that in my experience, and please keep in mind, again, I'm not qualifying myself as an absolute expert. I do not think that there is any absolute expert in energy work. I've taken classes from, Donna Eden and Barbara Brendan and people who 25 years ago were teaching how to see energy, and I do not profess to see energy. I feel energy. I don't see it. But there are some people who do. However, they are very far and few in between. The biggest examples I've ever seen firsthand is in working with Qigong masters, because they master their energy so well that I believe they see slash feel it in a really profound way. But that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about healing on the energetic level. So if you've got this aura, which is your subtle energy of body that's around your body, wait, I said that wrong. Your subtle energy body. There you go. That goes all around your body, and you can't see it, and you're like, okay, where do I have a hole? Is there one on my hip? I mean, I can't tell. Where is it? Well, the point is, even if people say they can see it, I'm a little I'm a skeptical. I'm a skeptic. I'm a person that I need to see measurable results. So when someone just says, oh yeah, I can see energy, I'm like, show me, show me, give me some proof, give me some evidence. That's me. I'm like, absolutely. I want to see evidence, which is why I like all the studies, because it's proof, in some way of proving it. And of course, the best proof, in my opinion, are the results, right? If you go to an energy practitioner and you were sick and now you're not, well, that's proof. But you know what? It's usually, like I said, it's both physical and energetic. So it's very hard to know where to distinguish. But if you're sick, you don't have maybe a lot of time and a lot of money to be paying everybody and trying to figure it out. So this is why the area that I focus on and that I'm really, really, that's my passion, is the energy of intention. And I do that because there's so much that has been proven and documented that shows us energy is the most powerful of all things. I'm sorry, intention is the most powerful. Now, I'll give you an example. Dr. Emoto, a lot of people have read The Water Experiments by Dr. Emoto. The Many Messages of Water, I think, is the title of it. Here's a picture, okay? The photo on the left is an ice crystal, which is from severely polluted water. And the photo on the right is the same water refrozen after having been blessed by Dr. Emoto. Now, when we say blessed, I want to be really clear. It doesn't have to be any religion. It doesn't have to be praying to God. Blessed is simply Dr. Emoto's way of how he set an intention. And we can sum it up as saying being grateful, being joyful, maybe thanking the water, being blessed. It wasn't like Dr. Emoto had any special powers. I'm doing air quotes because I think that he, as a human being, I think he had a very, very strong energy field and had a lot of light. And the light is our energy. It's our chi. It's our prana. It's, and in the new book I talk about 99% of the universe outside of our atmosphere is plasma. This is all malleable. But the problem is most of us don't have a command. So I can do an intention and someone else can do an intention, and we may get totally different results. It's not about what process did you use, who's the best at it, right? It's not about that. It's about who had the clearest channel, right? Because we're all vibrating beings. Source, God, whatever you want to call it, is light. And it comes through us, to us, and through us. And then we emit that light in the form of intentions. Does that make sense? So when it comes to healing by using intention, how do you do that? Well, you have to have a pure energy field. And how you do that, it starts with your thoughts and your feelings. It really, really does. And people want to get all magic and say, oh no, you've got to listen to this and have Tibetan bowls on you, and all of that is wonderful. It's wonderful as an adjunct, it's wonderful as an alternative, but at the end of the day, the person who's going to get better and stay better is the person who takes command of their own energy field, the person who operates, connects, and filtrates the light. It's got to be like that. And you can meditate, you can pray, You can go outside and, barefooted and ground. You can use devices and technologies. You can use frequencies. You can do all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just you and source. It's just you and source. And I don't care. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm very scientific. This isn't about that. This is about operating from your highest level, letting the most light in. Okay. And then I want to give you this other last picture. So this is an example where, and sometimes I work with water, and I just got a brand new microscope from my husband, really fancy electronic, takes pictures and everything, but I have not started playing with it yet. I just am getting my new laptop set up. But that said, to me, the most easy to measure has always been seedlings. And I will try, and I don't always post because sometimes something that someone is promoting doesn't always work to my level of belief. So I won't post about it or talk about it because I'm not here to make anyone look bad or feel bad. And what doesn't work for me could work for someone else. But in this example here, I took 8 seedlings. As you can see, they're divided up into 4s. And on the one on the left, all I did was take 1 moment a day and sent those seedlings my light and my love and my gratitude for growing big, big, big. That was it. Now you can call it praying, you can call it blessing, you could call it sending it light, whatever you want. But at the end of, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks, you can see the difference. On the side with no intentions, I want to clarify, I didn't say nasty things to the no intention side. I didn't give it dirty looks. I didn't try to be mean to it. In Dr. Emoto, in his experiments, one of them, for example, is he had kids say mean things to one jar of rice and then good things to another jar of rice when they came in and out of the classroom. This isn't that. I didn't do that. So you can call the no intention the control group. It's a control group if you don't do anything abnormal to it. And in this case, both of these were in separate containers divided by something that had metal on it for the Faraday effect, which just, so energy doesn't get entangled, hopefully, right? And we don't know to what extent that's absolute. But they were both in the same windowsill. They both got the same amount of water and sunshine every single day. The only difference was the one on the left-hand side. I took a moment in silence and talked to it every day, sent it love, sent it gratitude. And I think it's a really profound example of how important our intentions are to healing. Now since then, when I said I'd mentioned technologies that I have come across since then. Scalar and Rife, I mentioned both of those in the new book, but I know them now on a much bigger level because I've invested some time and money and worked with them. And, and the jury is still out on some of them. But what I love, for example, is on the Rife device, which is called Spooky 2, if you want to look it up. There's a lot of promise that you can take a piece of DNA, like your fingernail or body fluid or something, and treat it remotely. It's all through quantum entanglement, but it's got a lot of promising and a lot of promise to it. A lot of people are doing really well with it. It's one of those things, though, I'm not ready to put my name behind it 1,000%, only because I'm still new to it and I'm doing experiments. But I will tell you, and I don't have an image, I apologize. I will tell you that I did do a seedling experiment, and the plants, the seedlings that had Spooky 2 treatment were also bigger. They were not, the difference was not as big as this difference is. And I want to point that out because with the experiment with the Rife device, I didn't send that set of seedling intentions. So now if I use the Rife device to imprint stickers, put those in the container, and did the intention work, I strongly suspect that experiment would be even more profound than this. But I didn't do that because I wanted to see the difference of just the plain Rife frequencies. And you know what? Again, I'm new to this. So I maybe didn't do it exactly perfect in all the technology, which is super, super challenging. I'm still new to it. So I will keep experimenting. And when I have really good stuff to say, then I will absolutely be the first person shouting from the mountaintops that it works, if that's the experience I have. And then the other one is scalar. And I have a scalar device from a different company. Um, and I'm not going to mention it because at this point, I've not noticed anything measurable. I did do a seedling experiment with it. And at this point, I'm not noticing any difference. It is not, I want to make clear though, it is not the same company that I got the Rife at, because they also sell a scalar device, but it is not that device. So I don't want anyone to think that I said, oh, that one doesn't work, because I'm not saying anything doesn't work. I'm just saying I purchased one and it was a big one and it was expensive. And I've not yet noticed any difference when I had one set of seedlings next to it and the other one not next to it. So I will keep experimenting with that. I want it to work, right? I don't want to think that I spent a lot of money and it's not going to work. But when it comes to subtle energy, and this is the whole purpose I titled my book what I did. When it comes to subtle energy, it's very difficult for us to say what, you can't see and you can't measure. And I like measurement. I like to see, which is why I do the plant experiments. But some people, and I'm in different groups, and people will argue about, no, that's not how this works, and this hurts, and that, and it's really interesting to me, because the proof is in the pudding, right? What works for one person might not work for another person. We have the placebo effect. I talk all about that in the book. If they have to call something the placebo effect, and then people say, oh well, that was just the placebo effect. Who cares? If it worked, it worked, right? I'm sure you know what the placebo effect is, but in case you don't, really quickly, it's being given something or having something done to you under false pretenses, and then you heal as if you had the real thing, the real surgery or the real medicine or whatever it is. If you heal, you heal. And I think the placebo effect is one of the best testaments that our power of our minds and our intentions, right? If you give me a sugar pill and I've got, I don't know, say I have a disease, say I have Lyme, and you give me a sugar pill and you say, hey, Tamara, this is the newest, greatest, best medicine for Lyme disease. You are going to not have any symptoms after a week. And I take it and it's a sugar pill and my body's healed. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. It's working. Thank you. Thank you. And then I find out that it was a sugar pill. First of all, do I care? No, because I'm healed. But second of all, sadly, a lot of times when this happens, the patient then goes back and does the exact same opposite thing with their mind, and then they get symptoms again. And there's case studies about this where people who thought they were taking something for cancer, the cancer went away, then they found out it was not effective, they got the cancer back, blah blah blah, and so there's some sad stories really associated with the placebo effect. But the point is that is the power of our mind. So with all of this, and I didn't want to talk for very long, and it looks like I'm at 30 minutes. That's my idea of not very long, I guess. I just want to leave you with this. If you are suffering from any kind of medical condition, I don't care if it's, a serious one, or arthritis, or autoimmune, any kind of condition, you owe it to yourself to consider the energetic components to it. You owe it to yourself. Even if you just go see an acupuncturist, that's fine. But above all, it's your intentions. When I was super sick, both times I was super sick. And the first time, I'm talking super sick. Like that was, I did not know I was going to survive. I did not think I was going to survive. It was pure intention. The doctors, I had to get out of the hospital. I didn't know anything about natural medicine at that point. But that it was just very, very apparent to me that I needed to set the intention. And then when I got sick later, which was 15 years later, it was a whole different condition. And I'm going to tell you, I healed it. I should say God healed it, or my body and God healed it in lickety split time. And it was because now I knew what to do. I knew that I could not just address it on the physical level. I knew I had to address it on the energetic and spiritual level. I went to trusted practitioners, like I said, my acupuncturist, my DC. I did nutritional medicine, and first and foremost, I did my intention work. And I know that when you're sick and not feeling well, intention work is hard. And I just want to point out that this isn't just, if you've listened this far, thank you, but this isn't just for debilitating diseases. This is also if you have issues with your weight or eating disorders, as you know, a lot of women that I know do. This is, you know, or you have your time of the month is really rough. It doesn't have to be something super serious for you not to be able to heal your body. You have the bandwidth, the capacity, and the power to heal yourself of whatever ails you. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful. Leave me a comment if you think so. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.